A'udhu billahi as-sameen alim minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us yet another privilege among the most honored of people to come and sit down again and learn the beautiful book of Sifatu Salatul Nabi on how to pray properly. For we all understand that the best connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by salah. So if you are able to perfect your salah in the best of ways, most definitely you will feel that connection. And as most of us know, at times when you pray, you don't have that connection with Allah. You just pray just like that, just like a duty. Let me pray and go, yeah, and let me do Isha and go. And that's why when you go to the masjid for the brothers, you see them smiling. That is a beautiful sunnah we all know. Ahad Salah, which are correct. But this book, the last session we had, opened my mind personally to the fact that I've been praying wrongly and I never had this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when I prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But careful analysis of the book and carefully practicing what the book says and how the Sheikh taught it to us was it gave me the ability to have this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's so beautiful when you pray to Allah, you're praying to your maker, the one that has created the best of ways, and you're feeling this connection, this love. Most of us claim that we love a person, but in reality, if you love a person, you're connected with the person. It requires a deeper connection. So we ask Allah that He gives us ikhlas in whatever we do and grant us the ability to understand whatever Sheikh is going to say. And at this juncture, I would like to invite Sheikh down to the table and we'll begin ASAP bi'izni ta'ala. And as you all know, this is a learning center and we're expected to write, understand, be attentive, both physical and mental. Not that physically you're here, mentally you're in shop right or shop left or somewhere else. May Allah make it easy for all of us. Barakallahu feekum.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu al-atammani al-akmalani ala khayri khalqillahi ajma'in. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du, my respected brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my pleasure to be with you again to continue from where we stopped from the last session on this class on divine link, where we're studying the fiqh, understanding of salah according to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I really enjoyed the previous class and I hope I will enjoy this class as well. It's something that will gladden me to know that I'm benefiting people. People are getting benefit from what I'm teaching and also getting them to the right link. As I said in the previous classes, that this is the best book written on Salah. If you understand this book clearly, you don't need to go to any book about Salah. All other books are superior because this book only narrates to you what is in the book of Allah and Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, disregarding other opinions that are contrary to that. So in the previous class, we stopped at page 95. And what I did is I gave you an assignment from page 95 to go and memorize some chapters that the Prophet ﷺ used to recite from page 95 to almost page 111. But I just realized that no, we shall just continue from where we stopped, because after going through these pages, I realized there are some important points that we need to discuss as well. So we can only do that if you're reading and I am explaining. As we did in the previous class, one of you will read, then I will explain. There's a reason why I said we shall use the Arabic version, because it's getting you connected to the primary source, to the original source. If you want to get the blessings of studying Islam, you need to study it in Arabic, and that's the original source, and that's where you get the blessings. So I'm trying to get you connected to the real source, that this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, so that we can get the blessings. And when someone asks you later about anything about Salah, and if you have the book, that's why I insisted that every one of you should have the book. Initially, it was supposed to be I'm just speaking, I'm delivering lecture and you're listening, but I don't think that will benefit as much as if you have the book with you, because scholars said that once you have the book, you have the blessings. When you have, now this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, this is verses of the Quran, so it will get you going and it will get you to understand deep and deeper. We're going to start from page 95, and as usual, someone will read and I will translate. And I would like from each table, starting from the first table, the second table, the third, the fourth, and I think we have 6 tables. From each table, one of you will read. Don't mind even if you're making mistakes. I mean, you are here to learn. So if you make a mistake, I will correct you. And it's part of the process, it's part of why we are here. Even if you cannot read, you read with stammering, it doesn't matter. You are not here to show that you are an expert, you are here to learn. So be that wise and courageous enough to learn and show that you don't understand what you don't, and you will be corrected, you will get corrected. So what we did in the previous class is, why are we facing Kaaba? Why are we praying while standing? Why not sitting? Where do we place our hands while praying? We did that with evidences from the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The supplications before reciting Fatiha, how to recite Fatiha, we did all this. Now today, we're going to start from Ma kana yaqra'uhu sallallahu alaihi wasallam fi salawat. What the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite in 5 daily prayers and others. You know, in Salatul Dhuhr, it's not just recite whatever you want. Yes, if you recite any part of the Quran, your salah is valid. But if you want to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are certain chapters that he recites in Salatul Dhuhr. There are certain chapters he recites in Salatul Asr, in Salatul Maghrib, in all the prayers. So today, we're going to start from there. What chapters are we supposed to recite in particular Salah? In all 5 daily prayers, in Salatul Eidaini, in Jumu'at prayer, in funeral prayer. So we're going to study that with evidences, with ahadith. Everything, each sentence you read in this book is hadith. That's the uniqueness of this book. You don't wait for the author to tell you that this is Rahul Bukhari or Muslim. Each sentence is hadith. And he will put the number of hadiths in the footnote. So he will reference it in the footnote. But everything is hadith. That's the uniqueness and what made it so greater than other books. Ma kana yaqra'uhu sallallahu alaihi wasallam fi salawat. So who will read for us? Fi salawat. Min as-suwari.
فإن ذلك يختلف باختلاف الصلوات الخمس وغيرها، وهذا تفسير ذلك متبعا للصلاة الأولى من الخمس. الأول صلاة الفجر. صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرأ فيها بالطوال
بطوال المفصل. أحيانا ونحوها من السور ونحوها من السور في الركعتين. Good. Who can continue from there, from the same table? Who can volunteer from the same table? Before we start, I want to draw your attention to have sincere intention that you're coming to study for the sake of Allah. So you get rewarded whether you read or not, whether you understand or not. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilman, sahalallahu lahu bihi tariqan ila al-jannah." Whoever follows a path seeking knowledge, Allah will simplify the path of Jannah for him. So you're coming to study for the sake of Allah. So you will get rewarded whether you understand or you don't, and I hope you're going to understand. So the purpose and the primary reason for going to Islamic school is not to get knowledge, is to get to Jannah. Then the second reason is to get knowledge. If you become a scholar, that you have all the knowledge, but you didn't get to Jannah, the purpose is not fulfilled. So the primary purpose of going to any Islamic school is to get Jannah as a reward of that. So purify your intention. As I said, we're going to start from here. Ma kana yaqra'uhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam fi salawat. What the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to recite in salawat, in his prayers. So as I said earlier, today we are going to know when we are praying Salatul Fajr, what are we supposed to recite? As I said, if you recite any part of the Quran, your salah is valid, and there is no problem about that. But if you want to follow sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, there are certain surah that he used to recite. He said, وَأَمَّا مَا كَانَ يَقْرَأُهُ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ مِنَ السُّوَرِ وَالْآيَاتِ. As for which surah and chapter the Prophet and verse the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in prayers, فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ يَخْتَلِفُ بِاخْتِلَافِ الصَّلَوَاتِ الْخَمْسِ وَغَيْرِهَا. This varied according to the different prayers. It varied according to the different prayers. Sometimes he recite this chapter in this prayer, and another prayer he will recite another chapter. وَهَاكَ تَفْسِيلُ ذَلِكَ. And the details follow. مُبْتَدِئِينَ بِالصَّلَاةِ الْأُولَى مِنَ الْخَمْسِ. Starting with the first prayer out of 5 daily prayers. So now he will tell you, we will start with the first, Salatul Fajr. كان صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرأ فيها بالطوال المفصل. The Prophet ﷺ used to recite the longer mufassal. Now this is a valid point. I want to draw your attention. Mufassal. What is mufassal? Who can tell me what is mufassal? You know my class used to be interactive, so I would like to ask questions. Just attempt to answer. Know that you're here to learn, so attempt to answer. Even if you get it wrong, I will correct you. The Prophet ﷺ will always throw questions to Sahaba, and in most of the cases, 99% they will get it wrong, and the Prophet ﷺ will answer. And that's another methodology of teaching that will make it to make them to retain what they learn. Once you are asked a question and then you are given answer, it's better than when just you are told the answer. Quran is divided into Tiwal, into Mi'in and Mufassal. Tiwal is the longest chapters of the Quran, and you know the longest chapters, like Baqarah, Ali Imran till Surah Yunus. And you have Mi'in. Mi'in means the chapters that have over 100 verses. And you have Mufassal. Mufassal are the shorter surah. They are called Mufassal because after you recite like 1 page or half page, you will say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Mufassal means having gap, intervals. Now when you are reciting Baqarah, you recite 10, 20, 30 pages. You will recite for 1 hour in the same chapter. When you are reciting Ali Imran, it's the same thing. When you recite Surah An-Nisa, it's the same thing. But when you start reciting like the shorter chapters, when you recite for 2-3 minutes, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, you have an interval. That's why they are called Mufassal, chapters with interval. And this Mufassal in the Quran starts from Surah Al-Hujurat or Surah Al-Qaf. There is difference of opinion of scholars. Where does Mufassal start in the Quran? Some scholars are of the opinion that it starts from Surah Al-Hujurat. If you realize from Surah Al-Hujurat down to Surah An-Nas, there are shorter chapters. Ibn Hajar said the strongest view, and is the view of Hanafi, that of Hanabila, it starts from Surah Al-Qaf, Qaf wal Quran al-Majid down. They are called Mufassal. And these Mufassal are divided into 3. There is Iwal al-Mufassal. We're going to come and read it today. There are Awsat al-Mufassal and the Qisar al-Mufassal. Iwal al-Mufassal are the longer Mufassal. Even in this Mufassal, there are longer surah. And there are medium surah and there are shorter surah. For instance, when we say Surah Al-Qaf, you cannot compare Surah Al-Qaf with Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar. Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar is shorter, while Qaf, despite the fact that it's a short in compared to other chapters of the Quran, but it's also longer than Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar. So Mufassal starts from, let's say, Qaf or Hujurat. Let's take Qaf. Ibn Hajar said the strongest view is Qaf. From Qaf to Surah An-Nas, and they are divided into 3. We have the longer Mufassal, we have the medium Mufassal, and we have the shorter Mufassal. The longer Mufassal starts from Qaf till Surah An-Nazi'at, وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا. From Qaf to Nazi'at. They are Mufassal, they are short in compared to other chapters, but they are longer of the short surah as well. Then from Abasa wa Tawalla to Surah Al-Duha, they are called medium Mufassal. From Surah Al-Duha to Surah An-Nas, they are called shorter Mufassal. The Prophet ﷺ, almost most of his recitation in 5 daily prayers is in this Mufassal. Most of his recitation in Salah, sometimes he recite outside this Mufassal, is from Surah Al-Qaf to Surah An-Nas. That is most of his recitation in all 5 daily prayers. And today we are going to identify the surah that he recited in some particular prayers. Understood? So Mufassal starts from where? Surah Qaf, right? Till down to Surah Nas. And the longer Mufassal, Tiwal al-Mufassal, start from Qaf to which surah? Or Nazi'at. And the medium Mufassal start from Surah to Abasa to Duha. And from Duha to Nas is called Shota Mufassal. So by understanding this now, you will understand where did he recite in each prayer. When he said he used to recite in medium Mufassal, not necessarily that very chapter he recited in that particular salah, but any surah from Nazi'at, from Abasa to Duha, you can recite in that salah, is what the Prophet ﷺ used to recite. He said, Salatul Fajr, the first salah, Salatul Fajr, Kana Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam yaqra'u fiha bitiwal al-mufassal. The Prophet ﷺ used to recite the longer Mufassal. So in Salatul Fajr, the Prophet ﷺ used to recite from where? From Surah Qaf to Nazi'at. That's where his recitation is in Salatul Fajr. فَكَانَ أَحْيَانًا يَقْرَأُ الْوَاقِعَةِ. Sometimes he will recite Waqi'ah. Waqi'ah is in between. Waqi'ah is fall within the range of Tiwal al-Mufassal. وَنَحْوَهَا مِنَ السُّوَرِ فِي الرَّكَعَتَيْنِ. And the likes of it in the two surahs, the like of Surah Al-Waqiyah. So the like of Surah Al-Waqiyah, anything in between Surah Al-Qaf till Surah Al-Nazi'at. So this is for Salatul Fajr. وَقَرَأَ مِنْ سُورَةِ طُورٍ. And he once recited in Surah Tur. Surah Tur fall in the same category. So still we are there. وَذَلِكَ فِي حَجَّةِ الْوَدَاءِ. In the farewell pilgrimage, when they went to the pilgrimage, he recited Surah Tur. So now when you are reciting Surah Tur in Salatul Fajr, it will remind you that this is what the Prophet ﷺ did. This is what he did when he went to the farewell pilgrimage. And when you recite in Surah Al-Waqiyah, it also reminds you that I'm doing exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did in Salatul Fajr. وَكَانَ أَحْيَانًا يَقْرَأُ قَافُ الْقُرْآنِ الْمَجِيدِ. We are still there in Tiwal al-Mufassal. Sometimes he will recite قَافُ الْقُرْآنِ الْمَجِيدِ وَنَحْوَهَا, and the likes of it. فِي الرَّكَعَةِ الْأُولَى, in the first raka'ah, he will recite قَافُ الْقُرْآنِ الْمَجِيدِ. Then who can continue from here? Mufassal. So any surah that fall between Surah Qaf and Surah Nazi'at is what he recite in Salatul Fajr. Who can continue reading? To what we read first, that now we know if the class stopped here, we know where the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr, right? We know the range, and we have some examples, like 3 examples. He read Surah Qaf, he read Surah Tur, he read Surah Waqi'ah. Good. This is real knowledge, knowing that this is what the Prophet ﷺ did. Now, whenever you are reciting one of these 3 surah in your Salatul Fajr, you know that the Prophet ﷺ did it. And if it is Surah Tur, you know he did it when? In the farewell pilgrimage. Right.
إذا زلزلت وفي ركعتين كلتين حتى قال
راوي
فلا أدري أنسي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنطق ذلك عن حمده وقرأ مرة في السفر قل أعوذ برب الفلق وقل أعوذ برب الناس. وقال يؤذى بن عمر رضي الله عنه اقرأ في صلاتك
المؤوذتين.
فما
تعوذ متعوذ.
فما تعوذ متعوذ بمثلهما. وكان أحيانا يقرأ بأكثر من ذلك. كان يقرأ 60 آية فأكثر. قال بعض رواتب لا أدري في إحدى
ركعتين أم كلتيهما.
أو في كلتيهما. وكان يقرأ بسورة الروم وأحيانا بسورة ومرة صلى صبح بمكة فاستفتح سورة المؤمن حتى كان
ذكر موسى وهارون
أو
أو ذكر عيسى ذكر موسى وهارون أو ذكر شك بعض الرواة
بعد رواه
فأخذته السألة
فركع وكان أحيانا
طيب stop there. Now we'll continue. وكان the shorter mufassal. Now I tell you shorter mufassal start from where? Surah Al-Duha, right? But now the Sheikh here made Qisar al-Mufassal, the medium Mufassal, and Qisar, he called them Qisar. He's only the shorter Mufassal. But in real sense, the shorter Mufassal start from Surah Al-Duha. So sometimes, so it's not like constantly he used to recite from the longer Mufassal. Sometimes he will read even from shorter Mufassal. Ka is a Shamsu Kuwirat. He once recited is a Shamsu Kuwirat, which is part of the medium Mufassal. Waqa'a marratan idha zulzilati. And once he recited إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا فِي رَكَعَتَيْنِ كِلْتَيْهِمَا in the both raka'at. So in the first raka'ah he recited إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا, and in the second raka'ah he repeated that. So you can do that. It's one of the most frequently asked questions that people will ask you, if I recite this chapter, can I recite it again? Yes. Now you have an answer. You don't need to ask anyone. And you can point this book, you can point this hadith. That the Prophet ﷺ recited, إِذَا زِلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضِ زِلْزَالَهَا in the first rak'ah, and he repeated it in the second rak'ah. So you can do it. You can do that in Salatul Fajr. وَقَرَأَ حَتَّى قَالَ الرَّاوِي, to the extent that the reporter, the companion who reported the hadith said, لَا أَدْرِي, I don't know. أَنَسِيَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ أَمْ قَرَأَ ذَلِكَ أَمْدًا. Did the Prophet ﷺ forget, or he did it on purpose? Did he forget that he recited the same surah in the first rak'ah and he repeated it in the second rak'ah, or he did it on purpose? So we will say that he did it on purpose. You can do that intentionally. You can read a chapter and read it again in the second rak'ah. So now this is the difference between delivery and lecture. Now you get the book. When someone asks you, can I do that? You said yes, there is hadith. Then you can open, it's in page 96. That this is what the Prophet ﷺ did. Now on this particular issue, you are a scholar. You are as the same scholar as anyone in the world. The difference between scholars and the student of knowledge is that the scholar knows the source. He knows the source where he will point you to the hadith. Now this is a zenith. This is the highest place you can go to point a hadith. That yes, when someone asks you, can I recite the same surah in 2 rak'ahs? And you said yes, you're still half the way. When you say yes, because the Prophet ﷺ did it, and where there is authentic hadith, and you point this, now no one can give a better answer than you. If you ask any scholar in the world, the best he could do is to recite hadith for you. Yes, because the Prophet ﷺ did so in hadith narrated, and you have the hadith. Now this is the importance of tying people to the book. Once you are tied to the book, then you know the source and you know the answer. So, وَقَرَأَ مَرَّةً فِي السَّفَرِ, and once he was on a journey and he recited قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ وَقُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Now the Prophet ﷺ in Salatul Fajr recited قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, but it was on a journey. So if you are a traveler, you are on a journey, you can recite the first rak'ah قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, and the second rak'ah قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. When you do this, you are doing it on knowledge. You know what you're doing. Mostly if you do this, people will argue with you. People will dispute you. Because what is known in Maliki school is that on Salatul Fajr you have to read longer chapters. Why are you reading Birabbil Falaki, Birabbil Nas? You will tell him or her that there is hadith, authentic hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ, one was at a journey, he read Birabbil Falaki and Birabbil Nas. وَقَالَ لِأُقْبَى بِنِ Amir, he said to the companion that accompanied him on the journey, his name is Uqba bin Amir, he said, اقرأ في صلاتك المؤوذتين, in your salah recite قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ فَمَا تَعَوَّذَ مُتَعَوِّذٌ بِمِثْلِهِمَا. The seeker of refuge have never sought for refuge with something that is the like of this surah. So if you need protection from Allah, there is no supplication that will be given to you to recite that is better than Birabbil Falaq and Birabbil Nas. That's the best refuge you will seek from Allah. So bear this in mind. Don't go and be given a very long supplication, maybe it's not even authentic, or given some difficult supplication. There are some other supplications that are more difficult than Birab al-Falaq, Birab al-Nas, but the Prophet ﷺ said the best supplication that one seeks refuge from is Birab al-Falaq and Birab al-Nas. So there is no need of talisman, there is no need of any protection seeking from anyone once you memorize Birab al-Falaq, Birab al-Nas, because the Prophet ﷺ said, مَا تَعَوَّذَ مُتَعَوِّذٌ بِمِثْلِهِمَا. No seeker of refuge sought refuge in something better than Birab al-Falaq, Birab al-Nas. So by extension, if you recite them in your prayer, you're also seeking refuge that Allah will protect you from all devilish acts. وَكَانَ أَحْيَانًا يَقْرَأُ بِأَكْثَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. And sometimes, even on a journey, he will recite more than Birab al-Falaq, chapters that are longer than Birab al-Falaq and Birab al-Nas. فَكَانَ يَقْرَأُ 60 آيَةً فَأَكْثَرَ. He used to recite sometimes 60 verses from anywhere in the Quran or more. قال بعض الرواة, part of the narrators said, لا أدري في إحدى الركعتين أو في كلتيهما. I don't know. Did he used to recite 60 verses in one raka'ah or in both raka'ahs? So whatever you do is correct. If you recite 60 ayahs, 30 or 35-25, because normally we're going to come and study that the Prophet ﷺ will prolong the first raka'ah. He will lengthen the first raka'ah. He will make it longer than the second raka'ah. So 60 verses either in one raka'ah or in two raka'ahs. Sometimes even when on a journey, this is what the Prophet ﷺ used to recite. وَكَانَ يَقْرَأُ بِسُورَةِ الرُّومِ. And sometimes he would recite Surah Al-Rum. Where is Surah Al-Rum? Is it part of which Mufassal? It's not part of the Mufassal. So there is an exception. He ﷺ recited Mufassal, he used to recite in most of the occasions, but it's not like a principle only in that Mufassal, but mostly he recite from Mufassal. Surah Al-Rum is not part of the Mufassal, it's part of the Mi'in, the one with 100 and more ayahs. But he recited sometimes in Salatul Fajr. It's only 60 verses, but it's part of Mi'in, it's not part of Mufassal. وَأَحْيَانًا بِسُورَةِ Yasin. And sometimes he will recite Surah Yasin. Now, how many surahs have we got so far in Salatul Fajr? How many? Who can mention some from this table? Mention one surah the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr. One? Any surah that he used to recite in Salatul Fajr? Surah Al-Ikhlas? No, Ikhlas is not part of what he used to recite. Surah Al-Waqiyah, another one from this table. Surah Al-Nas only. Falak and Nas. And from this table, any surah the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr? Surah Qaf. And from this table, any surah? Waqiyah, someone said Waqiyah. Can you? Tur, Surah Tur. From the next table? Surah Yasin. Good. And from the last table? Surah Rum. MashaAllah. وَمَرَّةً صَلَّى الصُّبْحَ بِمَكَّةِ. And once he prayed Salatul Subh in Makkah, فَاسْتَفْتَحَ سُورَةَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And he started reciting Surah Al-Mu'mineen. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Right? حَتَّى جَاءَ ذِكْرَ مُوسَى وَهَارُونَ. When he reached the mention of Musa and Harun, the verse that says ثُمَّ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى وَأَخَاهُ هَارُونَ بِسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. أَوْ ذِكْرَ Isa. Or when he reached the mention of Isa, when Allah says وَجَعَلْنَا ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ وَأُمَّهُ آيَةً. When he reached either the first verse or this verse, shakka ba'd ruwat. The person reporting shakka, he forgot that he's not certain which of the two verses. Akhadhathu sa'la. The Prophet ﷺ started coughing. Faraka'a, and he went for ruku. So now if you are reciting in Salatul Fajr or in Salatul Maghrib or in Salatul Zuhr and you start coughing, you will go for ruku. This is another sunnah. Once you start coughing, you cannot leave people and start coughing too much. Just go for ruku. Just stop the recitation and go for ruku. If you do that and someone asks you, why are you doing that? You said there is a hadith that in Mecca once the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to Mecca, it's either for the conquest of Mecca or for Hajjatul Wada, but it was in Mecca, not in Medina. The Prophet ﷺ started reciting Surah Al-Mu'minun when he reached the mention of Musa or the mention of Isa, one of the two verses. He started coughing and he directly went for ruku, straightforward. Is another sunnah, another chapter he recited in Surah Al-Fajr, Surah Al-Mu'minun, and another sunnah that when you are reciting any part of the Quran and you start coughing, you will go for ruku. وَكَانَ أَحْيَانًا يَمُؤُمُّهُم. The same person who read before. Can you continue, please? Yeah.
وكان يسميها يوم الجمعة بألف لام ميم تنزيل مسجل في ركعة الأولى وفي الثانية هل أتى على الإنسان وكان يقول نعم
يتأول في الركعة الأولى.
يؤول في الركعة الأولى ويقصر في الثانية.
طيب, it continues. He said, وَكَانَ أَحْيَانًا يَأُمُّهُمْ فِيهَا بِالصَّافَاتِ. Sometimes the Prophet ﷺ will lead them in Fajr prayer reciting Surah Al-Safat. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ will have different recitation. So Friday, Salatul Fajr on Fridays have a constant recitation. It's different from other days. يقرأ بألف لام ميم تنزيل السجدة. ألف لام ميم تنزيل سورة السجدة in the first rak'ah, في ركعة الأولى. وفي الثانية, in second rak'ah, he would recite هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. So on Fridays, there is exception. The constant recitation of the Prophet ﷺ on Friday, Salatul Fajr on Friday, he will recite in the first chapter, in the first rak'ah, he will recite Alif Lamin As-Sajda. That is Alif Lamin Tamzil Kitabi La Rayba Fihi Min Rabbil Alamin. And in the second rak'ah, he would recite Hal Ata Alal Insani Hinun Min Ad-Dahi Lam Yakun Shay'an Madhkura. The content of two surah is teaching us about the creation, the origin of creation of the son of Adam, and also the resurrection and what will happen hereafter. And it will all happen on Friday. So the Prophet will remind us about Friday. So it is wrong for someone to recite Surah Al-Jumu'ah constantly on Salatul Fajr. Surah Al-Jumu'ah, Yusabbihu lillahi ma fis sama. This is what some imams do. This is wrong because maybe they don't have this basic knowledge. They think that because today is Friday and there is Surah Al-Jumu'ah and Salatul Fajr, let me just recite Surah Al-Jumu'ah to remind them about today is Jumu'ah. No, it's wrong. The Prophet ﷺ has constant recitation on Jumu'ah. Suratul Alif Lam Mim Tanzil, Suratul Sajda in the first rak'ah, and Suratul Insan in the second rak'ah. It's not necessary. It's not obligatory. But this is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَكَانَ يُطَوِّلُ فِي الرَّكَعَةِ الْأُولَى وَيَقْصِرُ فِي الثَّانِيَةِ. He used to prolong in the first rak'ah and he will shorten in the second rak'ah. He will make the first rak'ah longer than the second. And this is formula in all, is like a principle in all his salah. The first rak'ah will be longer than the second rak'ah. This is another fa'idah. This is another valid point. That in the first rak'ah, always when you are praying, make sure that your first rak'ah is longer than the second rak'ah. So now we are done with Salatul Fajr. We are done with Salatul Fajr. Then I need in each table again, someone who didn't answer the first question to tell me the surah that the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr, starting from the first table. Someone, not the one who answered in the previous, yeah? That's Surah Al-Ikhlas, right? Yeah, which one? Suratul Alif Lam Mim Tanzil, that's on which? On Thursdays, right? On Friday. Alif Lam Mim Tanzil in the first rak'ah and the second rak'ah, which surah? Suratul Insan, Hal Ata Al Insani Hinun Min Ad-Dahri. So we are done with Friday. Now, between Saturdays and Thursdays, yeah. Who can tell me? In this table. The one who didn't answer in the first. The one who has not answered yet, yes. Any surah, just any surah the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr. Yeah, give him the mic. Surah to Yasin. Sometimes you recite Surah to Yasin. Then the third table. Surah to Amma. Which one? Rum. Surah to Rum. Right. Now, the next table, yes? Tur. Surah to Tur, right? Now, the next table. The next table. Surah Nazi'at, right? Is it part of? Is she right? No. Nazi'at. Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Yes? The last table? The last table, any surah that the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr? Surah Al-Mu'mineen. Yeah, good. So we have many chapters try to just like memorize some of them and know that this is what the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr. So now we are done with Salatul Fajr. If you understand this, no one has better knowledge than you on what the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr. If by reading this now, no one has more knowledge than you about what the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr. You even know on Fridays which surah, which chapters he recited on Fridays. It is which chapters? Qul huwa Allahu ahad, and which? Suratul Sajda, and which? And Suratul Insan. And also you didn't mention Mu'awwidhatayn. And I know most of you will recite Mu'awwidhatayn, but you skip them. Why? Qul a'udhu birabbil falaq and Qul a'udhu birabbin nas, the shorter. And also idha zulzilatil ardu zilzalaha. But now my question is that, can I recite in Salatul Fajr, can I recite Suratul Mu'minun in the first rak'ah and recite it again in the second rak'ah? Can I do that? Yes. Okay. So in Salatul Zuhur, can I recite Suratul A'la for instance and recite it again in the second rak'ah? Yes. This is a principle. Know that you can do that. In each salah, you can recite a chapter and repeat it in the second rak'ah. We're going to come about a verse even, because some people will complain that I have not memorized much of Quran. You don't have to memorize. It's better if you memorize much. But even if you memorize one verse, you can use it repeatedly. We are going to come and study that today. So now jumping. Now all of you now are scholars pertaining what the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in Salatul Fajr. Al-qira'atu fi sunnatil Fajr. Recitation in rak'atay al-Fajr. Who can recite for us? The third table, right? Someone. Rak'atayil. Bi Kitab. Stop there. After rak'at before Salatul Fajr. What is the proper name of this two rak'at? Who can tell me the proper name of this two rak'at before Salatul Fajr? Rak'atayn al-Fajr, right? Any other answer? Rak'atan al-Fajr. Any other answer? Now this is most popular. This is how people call it, Rak'atan al-Fajr, but it's a mistake. It's Rak'atay al-Fajr. Take the noon. Don't say Rak'atani. In Arabic grammar, there is what is called idafa. Originally, it should be Rak'atani, two rak'ahs. But when you bring Fajr, you want to make idafa, you have to delete the noon. So Rak'atan al-Fajr is grammatic mistake. You don't say Rak'atan al-Fajr. But this is what is said. Everyone is saying Rak'atan al-Fajr or Rak'atayn al-Fajr. But the correct pronunciation is to delete the noon. We say Rak'atayil Fajr. If you delete the noon, it will be ya. Then you put the kasra on that ya. You say Rak'atayil Fajr. Now when you start speaking before people, you say Rak'atayil Fajr. So if there is any scholar in them, he will know that you know what you're doing. I mean, at least you have the basic. But when you say Rak'atan al-Fajr, you say, okay, Rak'atan al-Fajr. I know what you mean. But it's not the correct form. So what is the correct pronunciation? Rak'atayil Fajr, not Rak'atani. You will delete the noon. Okay. Look at it here. It's written. He said, وَأَمَّا قِرَاءَتُهُ فِي رَكَعَتَيْ سُنَّةِ الْفَجْرِ. Raka'atay, not raka'atani sunnat al-fajr. Raka'atay. About his recitation on the two raka'ahs of sunnat al-fajr, فَكَانَتْ خَفِيفَةً جِدًّا. His recitation is extremely short. So this is the principle. It's extremely short. It's not part of the sunnah to start praying that raka'at al-fajr and you prolong the recitation. No. It has to be extremely short. You know, some salah you need to prolong. That's what is called sunnah. I mean, you just follow what you are taught. You don't just like start innovating things. That is why Allah says, تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أكثر عملا. No, أحسن عملا. He's the one who created death and life to test you. He didn't say, who has much deeds. It's not much. Who has the best deeds? Deeds that are done according to the sunnah. So like if you pray Salatul Fajr 5 rakah, it's not accepted. But you prayed much, 5, but it's not accepted. No one asks you to pray 5. What you are required is to pray 2. Also, a Rak'at al-Fajr, if you prolong recitation, you recite 60 verses strong. It is extremely short. The Prophet ﷺ used to make it extremely short. Hatta inna Aisha radiyallahu anha, to the extent that Aisha radiyallahu anha would say, Hal qara'a fiha bi kitab? Has he recited Fatiha? Look at, he went to ruku, like immediately after standing he went to ruku. Has he even recited Fatiha? She's even doubting, has he recited Fatiha? So you need to make it that short. You hasten in your recitation to make it short to the extent that someone standing next to you will say that maybe he has not even recited Fatiha. Because of this hadith, even Hanafi school said, in Rak'atay al-Fajr, you don't recite Fatiha. This is so strange. Maybe you are hearing this for the first time. In Hanafi school of jurisprudence, when you want to pray Rak'atay al-Fajr, you said Allahu Akbar, Subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Allahu Akbar, you go to ruku. Why? Because of this hadith. Aisha said, I will say, has he even recited Fatiha? They said, then he didn't recite Fatiha. So just recite Subhanallah. But this is wrong. This is not according to the Sunnah. We're going to recite, there are even chapters he recite after Fatiha, but it has to be extremely short. Okay. Is this understood? Now, I want to ask you a question. You know, how are you becoming scholars? When you want to become scholar or student of knowledge, it's not, in this book, you don't get only things that are apparent. There is what is called apparent, and there is what is called hidden. Now there is something hidden in this hadith of Aisha that I want you to bring out. Aisha will say that, has he recited Fatiha in Rak'atay al-Fajr? There is something hidden. Now the apparent thing is that he makes it extremely short. This is what we can understand. But there is something hidden in it. What is it? Try to deduce something from it. Make istinbat. So, now, take the mic so that they can hear you. Or speak louder. Hello. This is part of what we can understand, but yeah, she didn't hear. Yeah, good. But there is something more apparent in hidden, but it's more apparent, more closer. This is very valid point. Good point. What also can you understand from her statement? I will say, has he even recited Fatiha? What will you understand about Rak'atay al-Fajr? What other point? Yes. This is how you become student of knowledge, like thinking, try to these points, yeah.
I think maybe she expects that he recites gently and what the scholar is emphasizing and making it very short that we're doing.
This is good. This is good valid point as well. None from the sisters. Just one point, then I will tell you. Give her the mic. Okay, this mic is not working, right? Okay. From the sisters, what do you understand from that?
What I understand is it probably recites very long surahs in all the
Salah, yeah. Yeah, this is also a valid point. But what I want you to deduce from here to understand is that he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to pray Rak'at al-Fajr in the house, not in the masjid. That's what Aisha would say. Because if it was in the masjid, she couldn't know what he recited. So the sunnah of praying Rak'at al-Fajr is to pray them at home and walk to the masjid. Understood? So the nawafil of the Prophet ﷺ, some of which he prayed in the masjid and others in the house. Now in Rak'at al-Fajr, you have the knowledge that the sunnah of praying Rak'at al-Fajr, it should be where? In the house. If someone asks you, how did you get that? You said, because Aisha radiallahu anha used to caution herself that, has he even recited Fatiha? And she could only understand that if he did Rak'at al-Fajr in his house. Good. So the next, continue recitation. Q&A session. No, please. Okay, let's finish Rak'at al-Fajr, then we go for Q&A. Yeah. Bil-ula. آخر الآية. أخرى نعم.
قل يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم إلا أخرها
لا آخرها. Good. وربما قرأ
ربما قرأ
بدلها
بدلها فلما أحس عيسى
منهم الكفر إلى آخر الآية. وأحيانا, so someone not you shall recite وأحيانا in the same table.
وأحيانا
Mhm.
يقرأ
Yeah. Mhm.
قل يا أيها الكافرون
Mhm.
في الأولى
في الأولى. Mhm.
قل هو الله أحد في الأخرى وكان يقول
نعم السورتان هما. Okay, someone from that table to just continue the two lines. 2 lines from that table, yeah. وسمع رجلا أولى في الركعة الأولى فقال عبد آمن بربه قرأ السورة الثانية أخرى فقال عبد عرف ربه. You know, I know it's difficult to recite it. A big movement that has followers everywhere could say, I can't read it. Babu was Salah. So what of you? So you have really extremely tried. You tried. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan, all of you. وَكَانَ أَحْيَانًا يَقْرَأُ بَعْدَ الْفَاتِحَةِ. And sometimes he will recite after Fatiha بِالْأُولَى مِنْهُمَا فِي الْأُولَى مِنْهُمَا. In the first rak'ah after Fatiha he would recite قُولُوا آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْنَا إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. This is verse 134 in Surah Al-Baqarah, 136 in Surah Al-Baqarah. Sometimes after Fatiha he will recite this verse, only one verse. قُولُوا آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْنَا وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ to the end of the verse. Only one verse. So extremely short. وَفِي الْأُخْرَى. And in the second rak'ah, he would recite قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. That's verse 63 in Surah Ali Imran. In chapter 3, it's written there. So that's what he used to recite. Only one verse after Fatiha. وَرُبَّمَا قَرَأَ بَدَلَهَا. And sometimes instead of the second verse, he will replace it with فَلَمَّا أَحَسَّ عِيسَى مِنْهُمُ الْكُفْرَ قَالَ مَنْ أَنْصَارِي إِلَى اللَّهِ قَالَ الْحَوَارِيُّونَ نَحْنُ أَنْصَارُ اللَّهِ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ to the end of the verse. In the same, in Surah, no, this is wrong. In Surah 23, no. He said in Surah 23, this is in Surah 3, verse 52. But in Surah 3, in Surah Ali Imran, the same thing. So he used to recite one verses in Salatul Fajr. After Fatiha, he would recite only one verse. وَأَحْيَانًا. And sometimes he would recite قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ in the first rak'ah. وَقُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ in the last rak'ah. In the second rak'ah, he would recite قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And he said, وَكَانَ يَقُولُ. He used to say, نِئِمَ السُّورَتَانِ هُمَا. What an excellent pair of surah are they. So when you want to recite an excellent pair of surah, recite قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ and قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. So if you want to combine in any salah, if you need to combine two surahs that you want to make an excellent combination, he said what an excellent combination is قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ in the first rak'ah and قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ in the second rak'ah. You know, this surah, they are very important in many places, not only here. We're going to come and study another place where the Prophet ﷺ used also to recite these two surah. In the first rak'ah, he would recite قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ and the second he would recite قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. I will tell you a story when we get there. When we get to the second place, he used to recite them. وَسَمِعَ رَجُلًا يَقْرَأُ سُورَةَ الْأُولَى فِي الرَّكْعَةِ الْأُولَى. He heard someone reciting قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ in the first rak'ah. The Prophet ﷺ was passing in the masjid and he heard someone in the first rak'ah reciting Surah Al-Kafirun. فَقَالَ. Then the Prophet said, Hada abdun amana bi rabbihi. This is a servant who believed in his Lord. The content of Surah Al-Kafirun indicating that you believe in Allah, because ya ayyuhal kafirun, oh you disbelievers, la abudu ma ta'budun, I will not worship what you worship, wala antum abiduna ma a'bud, I don't mind if you didn't worship what I'm worshiping, I will worship Allah. So when the Prophet ﷺ had someone recite Surah Al-Kafirun, he said, Hada abdun amana bi rabbihi. This is a servant who believed in his Lord. It indicates that you believe in your Lord when you recite this chapter. وَثُمَّ قَرَأَ السُّورَةَ الثَّانِيَةَ. Then in the second rak'ah, in the second rak'ah, the same person recited قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. فَقَالَ. Then the Prophet ﷺ commented and said, هَذَا عَبْدٌ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. This is a servant who knows his Lord. He knows his Lord, because قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ is only teaching you about names and attributes of Allah. That this is Allah, He is Allah. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, نِئِمَ السُّورَتَانِ هُمَا. What an excellent combination of two surah. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ in the first rak'ah. So when someone is reciting, he stands to recite, he's leading, or you heard him recite in the first rak'ah, he recites قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. And in the second he recites قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. You know that he knows what he's doing. The Prophet ﷺ commended someone who did that. He said, on the first one he said, هَذَا رَجُلٌ عَبْدٌ آمَنَ بِرَبِّهِ. This is a servant who believed in his Lord. Look at him reciting قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. In the second rak'ah he recited قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. He said, هَذَا عَبْدٌ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. This is a servant who knows his Lord, because the content of Qul Huwallahu Ahad is about names and attributes of Allah. So by reciting this chapter, he knows his Lord, and by reciting the first one, he believed in his Lord. So this is the end of it. So Rak'atay al-Fajr, he has two forms of recitation, right? The general principle is that he made it extremely short, and he prayed at home. That Aisha radiallahu anha commented and said, has he even recited Surah Al-Fatiha? And after Fatiha, he used to recite one verse each. So the first verse is the verse 136 in Surah Al-Baqarah. قُولُوا آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْنَا to the end of the verse. And in the second rak'ah, he would recite قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. Sometimes in the second rak'ah, he will skip this verse and recite فَلَمَّا أَحَسَّ عِيسَى مِنْهُمُ الْكُفْرَ قَالَ مَنْ أَنصَارِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. This is his first form of recitation. His recitation in Salatul Fajr in Rak'atayil, not Rak'atan al-Fajr, is constant. Either these verses, or in the first rak'ah he will recite قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, and in the second he will recite قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And he said, what an excellent combination of surah are they. So you don't come on Rak'atay al-Fajr and you start reciting any chapter you want, or you start reciting like anyone, like Qul a'udhu birabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu birabbin nas. They are not meant for this. Only these two are meant for this. You are also scholars now when it comes to what the Prophet recited on Rak'atay al-Fajr. Firstly, you know the name. The name is not Rak'atani al-Fajr. You have to delete the noon. You say Rak'atay al-Fajr, and you know the Prophet used to recite extremely short in this. He used to make them extremely short. Two rak'ahs, and also in the first rak'ah he recite one verses, or he recite Surah Al-Kafirun and Surah Al-Ikhlas. Now Q&A session. MashaAllah. Yeah. So you are not just scholars or Rak'atay al-Fajr actually. You remind me there are some points as well that are not included in the book. So when I said you are scholars or Rak'atay al-Fajr, just I was exaggerating. Yeah, you can do that. What happened is that there is hadith in Sunan Abi Dawood, and it's authenticated by Ibn Hajar it's made Hasan by Ibn Hajar in Fath al-Bari, and authenticated by Albani, that after Salatul Fajr immediately one of the companions stood up and he prayed another 2 rakat. Then the Prophet ﷺ got angry at him and said, Subhu raka'atani? Are you praying Salatul Subh 4 rak'ahs? We prayed 2 together and you are praying another 2? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I missed Rak'atay al-Fajr before Salah, then I'm paying back now. He said, okay, no problem. So you can do that. If you miss it, you cannot do it deliberately, you cannot do it intentionally on purpose, but then once you miss it, maybe you had Iqamah in the masjid and you don't want to miss. Once you had Iqamah, you cannot pray them. You have to go to the masjid and join the congregational prayer. Then after that, after the prayer, immediately you can stand up and pray Rak'atay al-Fajr. You pay them back. Good.
Alright.
questions. There's one question is about the verse in Surah Al-Imran. Verse 63 and another verse. What verse is that?
Another is erectile fajr, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, in the first raka'ah, he will recite verse 64 in chapter 3. Qulu amanna billahi wa ma unzila ilayna till the end. And in the second, he would recite, in the first he would recite verse 136 in Surah Al-Baqarah. Qulu amanna billahi wa ma unzila. In the second raka'ah, he will recite either Qul ya ahl al-kitabi ta'alaw ila kalimatin sawa'in baynana wa baynakum, which is verse 64 in chapter 3, or he will skip it and recite verse 52. فَلَمَّا أَحَسَّ إِيسَى مِنْهُمُ الْكُفْرَ قَالَ مَنْ أَنصَارِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. So in the second rak'ah he used to interchange, but in the first rak'ah is constant, verse 136 of chapter 2. Have you got that?
Yes.
Okay, have you got that? Yeah.
All right, the next table. Any questions? All right, no question. Next table,
Anyway, you will prolong the first rak'ah. How can you do that? This is a valid question. Now, we said it's part of the sunnah. You can read Surah Al-Zizilat in any chapter. You can recite it in both rak'ahs. And we said it's also part of the sunnah that you prolong the first rak'ah. How can you combine the two? How can you reconcile between the two? You either take first or you leave the second. This is your question, right? That's where you can prolong the first rak'ah. It's by reciting Dua al-Istiftah. Now, in the first rak'ah, when you say Allahu Akbar, before you start recitation, you say, we did it here in the last session. Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayna khataayaya kama ba'adta bayna al-mashriqi wal maghrib. Allahumma naqqini min khataayaya kama yunaqqa ath-thawbu al-abyadu min ad-danas. Allahumma ighsilni min khataayaya bil ma'i wal thalji wal barad. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Then you start reciting Fatiha. In the second rak'ah, you don't do that. When you say Allahu Akbar, you start Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. So you skip the Dua al-Istiftah. You also skip A'udhu Billah. So you are now making the first longer than the second. So not necessarily the content of the chapter will have to be longer. Not necessarily. You have many things that will make the first one to be longer. And part of which is, you have two things. A'udhu Billahi and Dua al-Istiftah. Okay. Last question? Wa alaikum salam. You pray it before Fajr anyway if you're a sister, because you don't follow unless if you're going to the masjid. But if you're praying at home, you just pray Rak'ah al-Fajr and pray your sunnah. There is only one exception. Is that when you wake up when it's about 5 minutes to sunrise, and you are afraid that if you pray Rak'ah al-Fajr, the sun will rise. Then at that occasion you will only pray Salatul Fajr and you will skip Rak'ah al-Fajr. But when we wake up, it is already 9. It's already 7:30. The sun has already risen. You will pray Rak'at al-Fajr and you repeat Salatul Fajr. Because it happened to the Prophet ﷺ once. They were on a journey and they are very tired. And it was already late in the night. And the Prophet ﷺ suggested that we shouldn't go to sleep. Because it's already, if we go to sleep now, we're going to miss Salatul Fajr. And the Sahaba were very tired and they said, so we suggest, let's pray, let's sleep, we sure we're going to wake up. Who is going to wake us up? Umar said, I will do that, Ya Rasul. No, Umar or Bilal, one of them. Bilal, I think. Bilal said, I will do that, Ya Rasul. I will wake us up, don't worry, I will be the alarm. Then they slept. And they didn't wake up till when the sun rises and they start to feel the heat of the sun. Umar was the first to raise up and he said, La ilaha illallah, inna illallah. Then the Prophet woke up and he asked Bilal, Bilal, you promised to wake us up. What happened? He said, Akhadha bi'ayni alladhi akhadha bi'aynaka ya Rasulallah. There's some sleeping that I fall asleep, you also fall asleep. So don't fault me, ya Rasulallah. Then the Prophet said, we shouldn't pray here because there is shaitan here that made us to oversleep. So let's go to another place. Then they moved to another place, they performed ablution, and he started with Rak'ah al-Fajr before he prayed. He prayed Salatul Fajr. So once the sun has risen, you will pray Rak'ah al-Fajr first, then you pray Salatul Fajr. But if it is before then and you are afraid that if I start praying Rak'ah al-Fajr, I will miss Salatul Fajr on time, then you will start with Salatul Fajr. You won't pay Rak'ah al-Fajr. When you have ample time, you will start with Rak'at al-Fajr normally. No. In what? I didn't get the question.
In one clarity, I want to clear about that.
Yeah.
There's no situation that will make you observe that Sunnah prayer after Fajr.
No, there is a situation. I mentioned that the situation is that when, as a sister, right? Yeah, as a sister, yes. As a sister, there is no situation that will make you to do that. As a sister, there is no situation that will make you to do that, except if you are praying in the masjid. If you are also going to the masjid for congregational prayer and you want to pray Salatul Rak'at al-Fajr and you had Iqama and you will go and pray with Imam, then later you will pray. But if you're praying at home, you can't say, let me start Salatul Fajr and pray Rak'at al-Fajr. There is no circumstance except that I mentioned, of if you are praying in congregational prayer.
Alright, mashallah.
I think there's another question maybe regarding this, sir. Yeah. Yeah, and then you will not pray Rak'at al-Fajr. Once you pray Salatul Fajr before the sun rises, you will not go into before the sun rises, and there is no time. Normally, when you are afraid that if I start with Rak'at al-Fajr, I will miss Salah on time. So you will just pray Salatul Fajr, and Rak'at al-Fajr is gone. Yeah. No, it has to be after the dawn break. Yeah, it has to be after when it is time for Salatul Fajr.